digging up dead Indians. It read, "Here were reinterred the remains of persons. When all other conceits are erased, it is the body that remains."
How? How can everything seem to be falling into place, but everything is falling apart at the same time? How can my life seem to be moving in the great direction, but seem to be stuck at a stoplight, not moving? How is that I've worked so hard to impress certain people, but they may not even be here to see the outcome? How is it that there's only a handful of people I want to be with, but the most important one is missing out on everything, for the first time ever?
Take to the air, usually employing wings, becoming living again, like the color bright, ultramarine, like a bird, wings extended to carry flight. Remember dreaming of flying, exerting pressure on nothing to stay up in the air. I flew over the fence, the vine laden with berries the color of storm, and little white flowers, over my house in the little valley of Chupadero, with the asphalt where I played Barbies with my sister, the acequia where I would puzzle over slugs and imagine where the fairies walked, the pint-sized tree where I taught my kitty named Elvis how to climb trees, because it seemed like he didn't know. He'd been sitting bolt upright when I adopted him from the shelter. He was terrified to stay there, but he kissed my neck, tense, so awkward about giving something he'd never been given. I could feel him trying, and I picked him, even though he was a little bit odd, a little more prickly. And then my 7th birthday party, there was Elvis, launching himself into the air, enthralled, tormented, amazed by the curly strings on floating balloons. Playing with my sister in antique slips found from the thrift store, honeysuckle stuffed mud pies, walking in back in the hills, donning my pink tutu from Grandma. We lived in a trailer, but Grandma sent Laura Ashley dresses. Finding a weak, dying bird and believing for a little bit in resurrecting it, but then burying him when I realized death got him. His feathers had been quite soft. It's been a long time since I've had a dream of flying.
Walking the forest on a path alone by myself, how quiet and serene it is but for the occasional huge sound of airplanes and fighters flying overhead. You might expect that there should frequently be animals in this part of the world, but no, you do not see them often, and I don't know why. Except for one time when I saw a wild deer running away, which I didn't notice when it stood still. The air is so pure that it makes me want to stay just to fill my lungs with freshness, which I cannot get at home. Sometimes I can hear the sound of tennis racket hitting the tennis ball, besides the sound of the tennis player down there commenting the hit by themselves or by their opponent. There's a feeling of glory as the forest path, covered with leaves that I walk on, remind me of the movie Highlander: The Endgame, in which one scene showed the immortal swordsman walking on a ground outdoor that is covered with leaves. This I sometimes combine with a song I heard called Hell's Bells, and wow, how it gives me a sense of empowerment and inspiration. Holding a sword in my hand as I practice swordsmanship among the trees, as if I am a samurai who is sure of his level of skill while cutting away falling leaves, even when holding a sword that is huge and heavy, but the speed of swing is fast nonetheless. The bikeway that is about several miles long, located not far from the tennis court, is surrounded by trees on both sides and above, as if the trees are leaning toward the bikeway to listen to the noise that people on the path make. Why, even if I have not gone to this hill of forest for a long time, I do not miss it. Nor do I miss the tennis courts which I played years ago with my father and sometimes by myself when I was trying to practice serving or just practicing hitting the ball. Why, it can be a good idea if I buy a machine that shoots tennis ball across the court so I can practice alone without the need of trying to find a partner to play with me. I used to go practice with my dad early in the morning when the air is fresh, when we all wake up refreshed without any kind of headache that gradually increases as day goes on. When the sun is still below the highest treetops, which the players have no need to worry about the sun blinding the eyes while one serves the tennis ball to start a game. At night, when I go out and walk down the path to the bikeway, I always worry if some scary ghost will try to ambush me. Everywhere is dark and I have to take a flashlight with me to show my way or I might lose my footing. When I walk on the bikeway that night during midnight, I can't believe I encountered someone on the way who, like me, who is at a time quite out of place, is walking on a pitch-black bikeway at a very, very late hour of time. Oh, how fun it was to be playing on the bikeway with my brother among the snow during winter, while the snow covered the ground and throwing snow at each other during the day. And we were quite alone as there were no people exercising on the bikeway because of the slippery ground that was covered with ice and snow. Animals in the forest, you cannot see them, but you can hear them. Birds chirping away among the trees and the rustling sound of grasses as some small rodent travel away across the leafy ground. Now, why is there an artificial wall of roots and ivy that blocks the path, that makes no one to be able to use the path among the forest of trees and grasses anymore? But no matter, because I will get rid of the blockade and others, not just me, can start using the path again.
Hell. Hell is weighing 103 pounds and thinking that's more than my allocation. Somehow taking up too much space. Not deserving to exist. Muscles wasting away, finding difficulty even in climbing stairs. Eating when I feel like it, but never enough. Hell is speaking in silences, the empty spaces where words might have once been, and in forgotten glances, aching, wishing for just one pair of eyes to meet mine, but they never do. Hell is the exclusion of company, dismissal of concern, forgetting to call and ceasing to notice when the invitations stop coming, absorbed instead in examining the sharpness of collarbones, in counting one by one the spaces between ribs. Hell is lying in bed and wishing for death, or at least something, anything, better than this.
Old hurts. Where do I begin? The soft folds of her body and the fierce fire of her eyes are a good place. I remember what she said that distant fall morning. Don't get lost. My heart is a warren of old hurts and new triumphs. The walls are the pink rosy gold color of hardship. The rooms are filled with the faces of those that I love, like radiant shining beacons, beacons that light the way forward. The rooms are filled with memories that I would rather forget. Her head lay on the ground, very much detached from her body. She looks at me with reproachful eyes, almost as if it was my fault, as if I could somehow have prevented her murder. How dare I remain alive when she was dead? It is the responsibility of the living to bury the dead, but it is the dead who must remind the living, life is short. Where do I begin?